Well, it's good to have you here. Thanks for dropping in at WVU Football Going Deep. Going to be talking about the defense today. Mostly what might happen or be happening with the defense. And it's kind of tricky to talk about because everything seems to intersect in so many different ways that I'm not entirely sure which should come first. So I'm going to take the easy way out and go backwards. Back, way back, not just before I had gray hair, but back in the days when it was 10-mile walk uphill both ways to school in the snow and 110-degree heat. Childhood. Back then, if you said it was a 4-3 defense, that meant there were 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers. Because a lineman was a lineman and a linebacker was a linebacker. Then we started getting all of these crossovers where, well, you might call them an edge rusher. They're somewhere in between a down lineman and a linebacker. And what we currently call the spear, that is somewhere in between a linebacker and a defensive back. So we kind of switched to where 4-3 or 3-4, whatever, 3-3-5. A lot of you will recognize that, or you should. But it was counting how many people were on a level. 4-3 meant you had 4 guys up front, whether they were hands in the dirt, standing up, or on their butt. Didn't matter. But, well, as is often the case, just relying on numbers and nothing else doesn't help, and it may hurt. Because it does not properly describe what the defense was, much less what I think it may have started becoming. Now, during the season, there were a lot of experiments, and I've talked about those as the season went on. Some of them may have been intentional. Some may have been taking advantage of personnel, but I think most of them were just trying to come up with ways to compensate for lack of personnel when we had so many freaking injuries. And the 2 primary experiments would be the double bandit, and I have no idea what, the coaches call it when they go that route, or when we would use Floyd as the spear and frequently had him blitzing. And both of those experiments were at least partly successful. And I think successful enough to make the coaches curious. Now, one problem was that we did not have 2 guys good enough at bandit to do a double bandit all the time. We didn't have 1 guy who was good enough at bandit. We had guys who ranged from very good to serviceable to kind of a liability. Then in the bowl game, Bradley had his best game by far. And that's not just the one-handed interception, which was, the highlight, but he had a very good game. Not just a couple of plays. Well, now, did he just have a good game? Or was it the result of a season of playing, a month to take time and really kind of synthesize all of that and step up? Is he going to play that well or better all coming season? Well, now then you go out, you've recruited Onwuka, who a lot of people think will play in his freshman year, and he should at least get his 4 games in, maybe more. And then we got Ty French in the transfer portal, and suddenly the idea of playing 2 Bandits at once becomes very attractive. Now, with the Floyd experiment, that worked a lot. It worked very well again in the bowl game, so even when teams knew it was going to happen, it still worked. Problem is, Floyd is gone. He graduated. And he had a knack for the blitzing. Wasn't great on coverage some of the time, but that particular position used in that way, he showed that it could really give the defense an edge. But if you start playing double bandit and you start using a blitzing, somewhere between corner and safety at the spear, or do you change the name of it, there suddenly isn't that many plays left over for the type of spear we were using before. And I really do suspect the coaches have looked at those 2 experiments and decided to make them an ongoing part of the defense. And that's partly why I don't think you can say 3-4, 4-3. If you're going to get into numbers, you pretty much have to call it a 3-1-2-1-4. I think that adds up to 11. Because you can't say this many, a defensive lineman is a defensive lineman. If you try to say on which level, well, you got a lot of guys kind of shifting levels, moving here and there, and it just doesn't, add up anymore. I don't know what they'll call the defense. They may still use numbers, but I think it has to be the something flex, because flex and versatility, flexibility, versatility are going to be the hallmarks, one way or another. Now, I don't know if this shifting around had anything to do with why Minkins and Rael decommitted. Might have. They were guys who looked as possibilities to be playing the traditional spear. Coverage was not their strong point, which made them similar to Floyd in that respect, but maybe not, so that they could use him the same way they used Floyd. Maybe they left because it looked like there were questions about playing time. I don't know. And of course, the coaches, if the coaches are going a different direction with the defense, and their decisions about what they would be doing with the defense have probably been flexible themselves as they tried to sort out what happened and how do we take advantage of it. So maybe they decided these guys weren't what they wanted going forward. They would have fit with last year's defense. Or, again, it may have been a matter of academics. Don't know. And I'm saying don't know an awful lot, but there's a lot of guessing going on today. Another factor is coaching. Because, of course, Dontae Wright is at Troy. He's not, he's not coaching at West Virginia. He's at Troy. I don't think there's been an official announcement even yet, even from Troy. I haven't seen it. But West Virginia is a coach short on defense. And there's been darn little news coming out about the coaching search. Now, if you happen to listen to Country Roads Confidential today, you heard some about the defense, some about the coaching search. You didn't hear very much because there's not much getting out in the media. Or if whatever the media may know, they're not talking about. And I don't think they really know much more than what you heard on Country Roads Confidential. But, I mean, it looks like coaching assignments are going to get shifted around, at least a little, maybe a lot. I mean, there's some, Andrew Jackson's going to keep coaching the line, I'm sure. Exactly what, I mean, titles, I don't know how, titles may stay the same, what they're actually doing may change. That's flexing too. So what type of coach, position-wise, they're looking for right now looks more, the talk is outside linebacker coach, which is a pretty narrow coaching description, especially since West Virginia doesn't have any outside linebackers. We do not use outside linebackers. And we saw, even with the Mike and Will, which had typically been treated as very different, more and more this season, the coaches were talking about those being essentially the same thing. So we have two inside linebackers, Bandit and Spear. Bandit and Spear play the outside, and they have some things in common with linebackers. They are not outside linebackers. I think, on the current roster, that is how they're listed. Not edge, not bandit, outside linebackers. Again, what's in a name? A bandit by any other name is still an in-betweener. So I don't know how they're going to play it. That may be affecting, player decisions. I think I can say with some confidence that Neil Brown is treating the coaching search much the same way he treats recruiting, and has refined his ideas in much the same way. By that I mean, I think he's putting, I don't want to say more emphasis on culture and fit, but has improved his understanding of what it takes to work in this culture and fit. Again, as he described with recruits, to be successful in this program. I think the new coach will be a lot like Marshall and Stewart. Probably not as young. Might be. But the level and type of energy, I think, is something we will see. And I think, losing Dontae Wright makes that even more important because he was this high energy guy who the players could kind of build around. He was the charismatic leader of the defensive coaches. I happen to think the other coaches are very good, but I don't know that they have that charismatic quality that Wright has. Lots of energy. Marshall and Stewart may develop, they may have the charismatic quality, but I think we need to, have more of that and somebody who will kind of bring a focus. But when it's going to happen, don't know. Hopefully pretty soon. I think they do need to start working out the careful plans for the defense and how those experiments are going to be applied, as well as getting the transfers they're going to need. Now, we do have guys hanging out in the portal, most of whom West Virginia has already passed on. With coaching changes, we have guys who get a 30-day window to enter the portal, so there have been some new offers going out. And of course, focusing on defensive backs. But I think, I don't want to say we're going to see a new defense. We're going to see what is the same defense tweaked. But barring injuries, I also think we will see the potential of the defense realized. Now, people, they don't seem to understand that the 2023 defense would have been a maybe top 25 defense if take away 2 or 3 of the injuries. Take away Lathan and Miller as injuries, and even with losing the other guys, I think it's a top 25 defense. But I think this, even if we have hopefully not as many injuries, but a couple of injuries, I think we can overcome them better this year. But I do think we're going to see double Bandit, and I don't know, might as well, I've said before, I think we call it the Floyd defense. We just have to find a Floyd. And we may have him. Crandall looks like a definite possibility. Garnes may be playing some. But if we move a little bit further away from the linebacker part of Spear, we have guys coming in who can play it. Don't know as far as that knack for blitzing. And that's the thing. You can have knowledge, you can have talent, but there is still something different about knack, especially as it applies to a relatively specialized idea. I mean, blitzing sounds like you just run real fast at the quarterback, but knack means angles and whether or not you get fooled, a lot of other things. Some of it you can train, but some of it is just something in the wiring. Floyd had it, maybe some of these other guys will have it as well. Anyway, that is what I think is going on with the defense. These experiments, I think, will continue and become a standard part of the defense. I think it's going to affect the coaching search and affect the players we go after in the portal once spring practice is over and the portal reopens. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I think we will have a defense this year that matches a very good offense. And so I am excited, even if you can't tell it right now, because I am also not as healthy as I would like to be. Anyway, please subscribe, click the thumbs up, click the notification bell, make comments, share, tell your friends, and well, there is that link on the home channel for the page, or the home page for the channel. And if you feel like making use of that, I also would, would definitely enjoy it. Meanwhile, I still have other ideas for videos. Got a suggestion one of the subscribers is helping with. It'll be a while before that comes up, but I think we'll have an interesting series out of it if I can pull it together. Anyway, thanks for watching. Come back, check out some of the other videos. Some of them are not just, that game week. There are a few that are on broader subjects. And I will, I hope, see you later. So long.